Thank you for tuning in to Bible Junkie ASMR, 2 Corinthians 9. For as touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you. Paul was stating here in 2 Corinthians 9 that it was superfluous to keep on writing about the subject of giving, since he knew how eager and willing the Corinthians were to help the saints of Judea. For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many. This was Paul's second mention of the fact that the Corinthians had desired to send a gift to the saints in Jerusalem a year before. It impressed Paul that the Corinthians had voluntarily wanted to participate in this offering, and he wanted to preserve the free will status of their gift. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Paul was sending the three men mentioned in 2 Corinthians 8 to see that the offering for the Judean Christians was ready. In this way, Paul's boasting of the Corinthians would be confirmed. The Corinthians were willing, but Paul knew there had to be more than just willingness. They needed actions, and Paul sent these men ahead to help them prepare their offering. Lest haply if they of Macedonia come with me, and find you unprepared, we, that we say not, ye, should be ashamed in this same confident boasting. Paul was pointing out that in the light of all his boasting about the Corinthians and their readiness to give, it would be quite embarrassing for him and the Macedonian brethren to arrive and an offering not be ready. Not only would Paul be embarrassed, but this would be embarrassing to the Corinthians too. Therefore, I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you, and make up beforehand your bounty, or if you had noticed before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty, and not as of covetousness. Paul had exhorted Titus and the other brethren to go ahead of him and arrange to receive the promised gift of the Corinthians. When it was ready and Paul arrived, it would demonstrate that the Corinthians gave willingly and not under pressure. The phrase not as of covetousness means it wasn't grudgingly given, but generously because they wanted to. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Comparing giving to sowing seed is done in other scriptures also. Proverbs 11, Luke 19, Corinthians 9. There is an unchangeable law of God, that whosoever we sow, that shall we also reap. Just as that works with organic seed, it also works with finances. Our giving will come back to us in the same way and with the same measure that we give. Luke 6:38. Every man according as he purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. Believers are to give as they purpose in their hearts and not from pressure. The verb purpose means to intend or resolve. Those who give under coercion are not pleasing God with their gifts. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work. This verse gives us the reason the Lord wants to prosper us. It is so that we can abound to every good work. Notice that this verse did not say, God will make all grace abound toward you. This verse is stating that God is willing and able to supply every need of the cheerful giver. As it is written, he hath dispersed abroad, he hath given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Paul just stated that the Lord was able to make the cheerful giver prosper in every situation. Here he quoted from Psalms 112:9, which is describing the blessings of the man who fears the Lord. This was scriptural verification of the truth Paul had just presented. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness. Notice that God gives seed to sowers. If anyone is short of seed, money to give, it's evident God doesn't see them as sowers. There are two types of people, sowers and eaters. Sowers are givers and eaters are takers. Those who live to give are sowers and will always have abundance so they can give to every good work, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God. Paul was again stressing the abundance of God's provision. We are to be enriched in everything so that we can always be generous in our giving, something that causes people to think God cannot be from the devil. Therefore, prosperity, when used properly, is from God. For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. Here, Paul brought a new reason for giving to his persuasion of the Corinthians. Giving causes much thanksgiving to God. To any of us true believers, this should be enough to persuade us to give. God has given us more than we could ever repay. However, gifts to others cause them to give thanks unto the Lord, thereby giving him all that we really have to give him our thanks. Whilst by the experiment of his ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men. This is the only time in the New Testament that the Greek word dokime was translated experiment. It was translated proof 3 times, experience twice, trial once, and experiment once. It is speaking about the action, not just the talk of the Corinthians giving. Our actions are what people respond to. The Lord looks on the motives of the heart. And by their prayer for you, which long after you for the exceeding grace of God in you. Paul was assuring the Corinthians that their gift would cause the saints at Jerusalem to pray for them and love them for their act of kindness. Thanks be unto God for his unspeakable gift. Paul concluded 2 chapters on the subject of giving by thanking God for his unspeakable gift. We give because the Lord gave. That's the greatest reason to give.